Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. This is your boy LV Cree doing a little bit of solo legwork this evening as we got another randomizer race for the Mega Man 2 randomizer tournament between Blue Bomber and Charlieboy, who are both in the lower brackets. So, if we can go ahead and just get things started here, we can get things underway. So if you excuse me, like I said, I'm doing pretty much a lot of solo work. Well, not completely solo work. Shout outs to 2% Chungus, who is on the back end doing tracking for me while I begin to set these boys loose. Alright, the timer has been set down between our two competitors. So in about a few seconds, we should be getting started for... This is going to be an elimination game. One of these two will be going home. Charlieboy being sent to losers by me of all people. While Blue Bomber, if I recall correctly, was sent down to the lower bracket by Casual Tom. So one of these two, they're going to have to duel it out to see who's going to stay alive in this tournament. And right now, Charlieboy seems like he's gonna keep going. He's gonna choose Heat Man, while Blue Bomber has gone with a little easier level in Metal Man. So, the way the randomizer tournament works here, our two opponents are given a chance to create a bit of race rules or race settings. For this case, Blue Bomber has chosen the case that we are doing hidden stages, and it's gonna be zipless. So we're not going to be having any zips, hopefully, between our two runners. So, looks like we got also some sprite changes as well. So we're going to see how all of this is going to turn out, as Blue Bomber is already halfway done with Metal. Charlieboy already halfway done with Heat. He's looking a little bit tolerable. Heatman stage usually one of those stages that can really be ugly if you get a bad enemy set. Rabbits can be annoying, but there are much worse enemies that could be along the way. Meanwhile, Blue Bomber is dealing with one of my worst enemy combinations in Randomizer with the crabs and the fans. Fans being particularly dangerous here. Oh, and a wise pause buffer. Whenever you see fans in Metal Man stage, you would definitely like to take it a little safe, because that fan can definitely pop up and you will not make that jump if you go for it and think that a fan is not going to be there. You're better off just always assuming that a fan will be there and just pause buffering. You'll more than likely be safe. Meanwhile, we got a very interesting looking Woodman found in Metal Man's room. Of course, since this is easy, everyone's doing technically double damage. This is 2 units per pop is not necessarily the best situation. We're looking for as many busters soft weak between the 4 robot matches as possible, but still managed to get Woodman down very quickly. Meanwhile, we got our another interesting looking Metal Man in the Heat Man room. We're gonna see if there's an item here. Ooh, there is no item in a Heatman stage. So if Blue Bomber can find the means to get item 2, that could be some time save for Blue Bomber's end. And yes, that is basically Marissa. That is the sprite that Blue Bomber has chosen for the player character. Yeah, we have included a lot of visual additions. Some pretty awesome, some pretty questionable, some makes you wonder what we're thinking. But it's just good to have the randomizer has some action and some community activity after being kind of inactive for some time. Anyway, we got Charlieboy, who's actually using his own custom personal sprite, going through Woodman stage, whipping out the atomic fire and just taking out all of these frienders, these hot dogs, one shot. Of course, since this is zipless and he doesn't even have any items to do it anyway, of course we can't allow good wood. Of course, if he does good wood, the odds of him being disqualified is going to be pretty high. Once again, this is zipless, and one of the major rule sets is that if you do a pretty significant major skip, you're pretty much going to be disqualified. So It's for someone like Charlieboy, who's one of his main strengths is to zip. There could, hopefully, he won't forget and slip up and wind up doing an accidental zip for any kind of time penalty or any kind of disqualification notices. Meanwhile, this crash climb is getting pretty rough for Blue Bomber. There's a shrimp on the ladders. And he first was trying to see if he can get towards the left side, but that one shrimp pretty much just blockaded his whole process, wasting quite a bit of time going to the right side where it's much easier. Meanwhile, Charlieboy facing our Bubble Man analog, and he's getting pretty pummeled. But he was able to damage race Bubble, and he's able to get by Woodman stage. Do we get an item? Yes, we do. We got item 3 for Charlieboy's trouble. Charlieboy being not only our tournament organizer, but also last year's tournament champion. Had a bit of getting a little bit of a slow start. Picking some of the longer stages, but he's pretty much trucking along. No unfortunate deaths along the way. Blue Bomber finally getting his crash climb finish and finds the vanilla Crash Man. Obligatory is this randomized statement in here. And it looks like he's pretty soft Buster Week. So 7 pea shooter shots. If he can get these last shots, he can only take 1 hit. There we go. Blue Bomber taking care of Crash Man. Once again, wasting quite a bit of time trying to get by that left side, and Crash getting pretty much barricaded by the shrimp, which has the spite of the Mega Man 1 Watcher from Electman stage and some others. Alright, so Blue Bomber is doing some repeated territory, going to Webman stage. Meanwhile, Charlieboy going to Flashman stage, pretty much already done with the stage. Flashman being one of the stages that you would like to have as soon as possible for a free E-Tank, and it's just generally a short and easy stage. The boss, however, well, it's one of the easier ones in Heat, because he'll always be vertical towards Mega Man. He'll never fall down, so you can always potentially find a way to hit him from above. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he has a good weapon to do so. Opting to use Quick, which is doing some pretty decent damage. Good soft weakness. Heatman going down in an instant. And we're going to see if we get anything from here. Nope. So item 2 is still at large. Not quite halfway done with the 8 Robos. But we're just going along. Charlieboy going to Metal Man. Another simplistic stage we already saw on Blue Bomber's end. And it was pretty friendly, except towards the second half where those Fan Fiends and Crabs will be awaiting them. Switch audio to Charlieboy as he got the advantage so far. So while we retreading some familiar territory as we mentioned, once again, for those that aren't familiar with the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, we have a little saying that basically whatever, we can pretty much say less about what's randomized than what is, because as you can see, we randomized a ton of stuff within the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, from bosses, boss sprites, boss weaknesses, what you get from bosses between weapons and items, the weapon attributes, colors, music, you just about name it. Pretty much everything is randomized itself for Mega Man's basic movement and most of the general level design, except for some few cases. So we got Blue Bomber pretty much taking care of Woodman stage, taking out Bubble. Now we're going to Quickman, the other technically easy stage for the rando. Another stage where you can get an easy E-Tank, get an easy extra life. And if you know how to take care of the quick beams, it's pretty much just a simple walk in the park as long as you know how to tread the general obstacles in the area. Charlieboy getting himself a little bit beaten. Yeah, yep, Green. Boss music is probably the only piece of music in general that isn't randomized. For reasons that I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the coding about it, but probably either some space issues or maybe some general music coding restrictions that probably makes it hard for it to be shuffled amongst each other. Don't ask me about 100% details, but that's what I'm gathering. Regardless of the matter, after taking an unfortunate death to Woodman, Charlieboy was able to quickly recover and do the Woodman fight pretty handily enough. Trying to use this item 1 to great extent, trying to get by this full screen of Joes. Takes a beating, but able to use item 1 to get by. Meanwhile, Blue Bomber taking care of all the Quickman stage and finds Sonic, technically our vanilla Quick. Oh boy! And pretty much Sonic just stomps on him. Blue Bomber taking a death there. Gonna take another chance. He is Soft Buster weak, so this should, unless something goes horribly wrong again. There we go. Quickman goes down quickly. Sonic speed, if I do say so myself. It was supposed to be a joke. Alright, stupidity. Seriously, stupidity aside. Both of our runners pretty much halfway through the Robot Masters. Charlieboy with a slight advantage, but still going through one of the longer stages in Crashman. We're gonna see which way he goes. If he goes left, he's gonna have to deal with that shrimp blockade. Otherwise, if he sticks right, oh, Charlieboy sticking left. This could be a situation where Blue Bomber can gain some time, especially if Charlieboy decides to stick with the left side and tries to be as stubborn as Blue Bomber as he was when he was here. We're gonna focus on Charlieboy for a bit and see what he does. That is something to note. He does have more weapons compared to Blue Bomber when he was here, unfortunately, early. And is able to take care of the shrimp, which fortunately is not a spawner. There are two types of shrimps that can be chosen in the enemy randomizer pool. There are the single shrimp that can just spawn and just be done with, or there can be shrimp spawners that can pretty much just summon a crap ton of shrimp, and that's probably the one that you really would not want to have in any of the Crashman climbs. Fortunately, it was the former, and Charlieboy was able to use his leaf shield and destroy it, and we're going to see if he can make quick work of this crash, who, as we saw in Blue Bomber's End, was Soft Buster weak. Cutting it close, using the iframes to get that last hit before the iframes faded, and he would have taken an unfortunate demise. Blue Bomber taking care of the Olive Airman stage, pretty much a pretty simple stage. No horrifying enemies along the way, and yet another vanilla boss. Even though the sprite is changed, that is most definitely a Woodman in his, not a Woodman, but an Airman in his own room. And he's also pretty weak to the Buster. Also, for those that are unsure what I mean by Soft Buster weak, it pretty much means what it says. The Buster pretty much deals 4 damage, at least in easy mode, to Robot Masters, and in this case, they always are soft weak to 4 different Robot Masters. So once you find those 4, you pretty much are set for generally easy matches, easy fights. So we got Blue Bomber hitting some new ground. This is the first time we see Bubble Man stage. Bubble Man's background being one of the randomized sprite attributes. And this Telly does not want to die. Blue Bomber wanted to take it as safe as possible. This is another stage where, like, some bad enemies can lead to deadly pitfalls very early on, and actually later on as well. But first, now we're gonna have to deal with this underwater segment. One of the recent changes we made to the randomizer is the fact that there is actually 0 lag in the water. So movement is not so sluggish, but because of it, you're gonna have to deal with some You have to deal with physics without lag, potentially helping you with recognizing anything that's coming. So you know, like fall descent, enemies coming along the way, and Sonic going 2 for 2, taking out Charlieboy. So both our runners pretty much getting completely owned by Sonic on both sides of the screen. Charlieboy once again trying to go toe to toe with our Speed Boy here. Finally getting those recommended 7 shots in. Bluebomber opted to use item 2. Very safe, but is there going to be a tally up above? Nope. So, Bluebomber about to see who's in the Bubble Man room. Don't have too many Robot Masters left. I don't think we've seen a Flash yet. There's our boy. And that should be Metal Blades. Metal Blades looking like he's doing soft weakness damage, which in this case will always be beneficial. If you can find any weakness of any kind, that'd be wholly recommended compared to using Buster if necessary. Killing folks with 7 shots is still faster than killing with 17. I mean, not 17, but 14. Alright, Bluebomber going to Heatman stage. Bluebomber does have all the items available to him, so he could potentially make this stage much faster than Charlieboy, who was able to do Heatman stage first. So that can be some time gained back for towards Bluebomber's advantage in trying to catch up. Charlieboy done with the majority of Bubble Man stage. Often use the item 1 to make sure that he can safely traverse these pits, but these enemies are not really that threatening unless you get extremely careless. Only taking it a little bit more safe than necessary, but it's one of those cases where better safe than sorry. Bluebomber making good use of the Metal Blades to take out these rabbits. Charlieboy trying to use the Buster. Saw that Buster was doing pretty much general damage and just quickly opts to use another weapon and quickly finds the Metal Blades just as Bluebomber did and finds there's a soft weakness and pretty much just hauled it all over Flashman in the Bubble Man room. Charlieboy pretty much down with 1 Robot Master left. Bluebomber still at 2, but after this he'll also be at 1 more, with Flashman still waiting, so there could be a chance that they are very, very close to even. If anything, Bluebomber may be half a stage behind Charlieboy. We're gonna have to see once we get to the Wily stages. Meanwhile, Charlieboy having a little bit of issue taking care of these blockies and the peepees and their eggs, which are flying enemies with Fruit Loops, boxes of Fruit Loops dropping on them. Bluebomber taking care of our Metal Man sprite. Once again, catching up time using all the items that were available to him, especially that item 2 to ignore the Yokus. Actually, Crash is actually weak to a number of weapons. I know he's soft weak to Bubble. Metal definitely shreds him. And I also want to say that Crash also does some significant damage as well. Also, I think Bluebomber was able to figure out that the walls were weak to Quick. I saw Quick being fired and I didn't see a tink on the walls. I think Bluebomber has found the wall weakness. The walls being, also, as I mentioned, having a randomized weakness between every weapon except Flash. And yep, item 2, found at the very last moment by Charlieboy. Definitely probably could have helped in a few areas, but right now he still has the advantage as we see Dr. Cossack Looks like Mega Man 4 came 2 games a little early here. As Cossack goes into the all-consuming blackness that is supposed to be Dr. Wily's castle. And now, at this point, we got a little game for you to play. For those that aren't familiar with what we do in these randomizer showcases and tournaments, we got a little bit of a guessing game for you. In this case, for the most part, we want you to guess the color and the weakness of our upcoming Mecha Dragon. But I'm gonna add one little extra thing. We also randomize the dragon sprites. So if you want to add some more points, bonus points, you can guess if it's a regular dragon, if it's a dragon with some neat looking shades. You can also wonder if he has like a unicorn horn, a dragoncorn as I would call it, and probably one of the more interesting sprites, the Oat Dragon. Meanwhile, Blue Bomber, pretty much about the distance that I was expecting. Charlieboy's pretty much halfway through the Wily stages, and Blue Bomber's starting the Wily stages. So, like as I predicted, pretty much about half a stage distance between our two runners. Alright, so what's blocking the ladders here? Oh, we got Space Monkeys. This ladder definitely could have been a big stopping point if our runners are... if anyone is unprepared for this ladder climb. But fortunately, like we said, we got Space Monkeys, so it's a pretty free climb, and we're about to see who our Mecha Dragon is. Well, since I'm doing some lone commentary, I didn't get a chance to take a guess at the dragon. Which, we got ourselves a Shades Dragon. And that looks like a pretty decently green dragon. Got some pink highlights, and if you guess he was weak to the Buster, you got yourself a trifecta of some good points. Welcome G Mario. You really didn't miss much. We pretty much just started with match 1 of 3 of our lower bracket race between Charlieboy and bluebomber285. Both of these two are not too far from each other, with Charlieboy pretty much still technically half a stage ahead of Blue Bomber, who is closing up fast on the Mecha Dragon. Meanwhile, Charlieboy pretty much beginning his assault on Wily 2. Pretty sure he's probably not going to check the wall weaknesses. That's pretty much just Charlieboy's MO, to just wait until Boo Beans to check for wall weaknesses, especially if the Boo Beans are a god weakness like a god metal or god wood, or in some cases even a god air. Alright, Blue Bomber looking like he's working with metal. Metal's not gonna work. He's gonna stick with second page. Excuse me. Second page not doing work, so unfortunately Blue Bomber wasted a little bit of time with those minor weapon hunts, but fortunately it was the second page hunt, so you only had to dig through 2 weapons. Oh, looks like Twitch is invading the Mega Man 2 randomizer yet again. Pretty much want to try and cancel Charlieboy here, but once again, another boss that is weak to the Buster. For those that aren't familiar with how Wily boss weaknesses work, a lot of them are weak to a set number of weapons, but each boss has a 50-50 chance to be weak to the Buster. Either they are or they aren't, and in this case, we're pretty much 2 for 2 for Buster weaknesses. Charlieboy pretty much getting lucky having the Buster out front the get-go and not having to do any excess hunting. Blue Bomber again, the E-Tank, definitely confirming that Quick Boomerang is the wall weakness. Charlieboy thinking he's good on weapon energy, opted to go straight into whatever kind of water this is. This definitely isn't clean, but it's definitely not like septic sludge. Just a quick and easy spike fall. And Charlieboy pretty much just got a few screens before he goes to the guts tank. Meanwhile, Blue Bomber handily going through the rest of Wily 2. has the Buster ready, he's gonna be happy to know this weakness is a pretty easy one for the Pico units. Alright, so Charlieboy, stick with the Buster. Are we gonna be 3 for 3 for Buster weaknesses? Oh my goodness, I know someone that is going to be friggin' fuming for all these Buster weaknesses on the Wally bosses right now. No, all spikes are still instant kill. That has not been randomized. You wish that spike damage would be randomized, but no. Most of any spikes are pretty much instant kill. Alright, Charlieboy pretty much going through Wally 4. Blue Bomber going through Wally 3. Charlieboy being particularly careful where he lands. And at the last moment gets tripped up by the random fake platforms. On the screen that Charlieboy is in and the one he's in right now, the placements of the fake platforms are randomized, so he has no way of knowing which floor is fake. But of course, when you got items, especially like item 2 over that area where there is one block tile where an opening can be for a spike pit, you can just negate it. And as we see on Charlieboy's end, our anxiety rooms are pretty much rest stops. No enemies in sight right now, as Blue Bomber probably a little grateful that once again we got another Buster Week Wally boss. Charlieboy missing his item 2 flight. Does he have any extra energy to? He does have a couple of item 1s. Can he make this jump though? He's gonna decide to pause the buffer to slow his velocity down and make his jump a little safer. Pretty much a wise move. That can be a pretty tricky jump if you don't time your jump or get your character placement correct to make the jump. Looks like all we got is just some shrimps and some joes for our last stretch. A fortunate weapon drop. Pretty much running on fumes for items. Charlieboy making a wise decision, double checking to see if charge heat is a wall weakness, using the release after the charge from going through the door to make sure that the wall was or was not heat weak. Quickly finds Quick Boomerang as the wall weakness. Having trouble finding the boobing weakness, and it looks like it's second page. No, it's not second page. Wait. Oh, it worst case scenario weakness. It's usually the last one that you don't want to see, and it's charged heat. And it's the variant where you gotta wait for the full charge in order for it to actually deal full damage to the boobing turrets. Delays aside, Charlieboy still makes quick work of the boo beams, and now he's at Wally 5, where, of course, we get our traditional boss rush. Of course, one of the best things about Wally 5 is the simple fact that not only we get our next random music track, it stays throughout the entire refight, so no boss music for any kind of interruptions for the refights. God bless you, ROM hacks that started this trend. So Charlieboy pretty much well on his way to doing these refights. Blue Bomber already knows that he has Quick Boomerang for wall weakness. Gonna opt to destroy all the walls before starting to destroy the actual turrets. And he's gonna go completely down the line. He's not skipping heat, so he's gonna get through this fight a little faster than Charlieboy, but Charlieboy already has a pretty significant advantage over Blue Bomber. at this point, Charlieboy is pretty much on his 4th Robot Master. So, throughout this entire race, Blue Bomber pretty much has been a half a stage behind, well in range of a potential lead change if Charlieboy screws up. But Charlieboy, being probably one of our greatest ambassadors of the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, he pretty much knows the majority of the ins and outs, and his execution on the Randomizer in general is pretty on point. So you're gonna pretty much need a pretty significant mistake from Charlieboy in order for Blue Bomber to catch up, as Charlieboy has been keeping a steady distance from Blue Bomber. After we finish up the refights on Charlieboy's in, once again, welcome everyone to Speed Gaming. Welcome everybody to Speed Gaming. This is the Mega Man 2 Randomizer Tournament, where we got a losers elimination match in the lower bracket between Charlieboy and bluebomber285. If you want to get our runners, hopefully our commands are working. Yes, they are. Follow our runners. They are here to entertain you, the masses. Hopefully give you an exciting race. If you want to, you can pretty much follow me if you rather so choose. And of course, shoutouts to our star tracker, 2% Chungus. As we go right into the Wily Machine fight, and nope, unfortunately, definitely not a Buster weakness. But this is a real good air, and it's weak to both phases. The Wily Machine has multiple weaknesses, but between the phases, some of the weaknesses change. So, Air Shooter might not have been the weakness for the second phase, but fortunately that was the case for Charlieboy, and it was an exceptional Air Shooter, firing out 3 tornadoes and going out at pretty good speeds. So Charlieboy going towards Victory Road here. All that stands in the way is just a small little jog towards our boss door, and whatever alien we're gonna see. The alien sprite also has been recently shuffled, so we have no clue what kind of alien we're gonna get. And Dr. Cossack becomes... oh yes, the best sprite, Big Pimpin' Wily. Shouts to No Constancy for that sprite. But regardless, the weapon hunt begins. The alien is weak to one weapon and one weapon only. That is in Flash Course. And looks like Quick Boomerang is the weapon to do the job. He was low on health, but luckily he does have a juice box in hand. And GG's to Charlieboy, winning race 1 with official racetime.gg time of 31 minutes and 49 seconds. Very brisk run from Charlieboy. Meanwhile, Blue Bomber's not... ooh, he could not have taken an extra hit. Fortunately, Blue Bomber was able to stave off Dr. Wily's furious... well, Dr. Cossack's furious assault, thanks to the glorious gifts of iframes. And now he's heading towards Victory Road, where our Big Pimpin' Wily is just waiting to get him with... let's just say he has a metaphorical pimp cane that's gonna smack our Marissa sprite over the dome with. We're gonna see how soon that Blue Bomber is able to find the quick boomerang before finishing up the race. Alright. Our final boss has been spotted. He's starting on the second page, so it's probably going to be a little bit before we find the quick boomerang. Oh, it's going to be the maximum length. I'm pretty sure you're going to go... he wisely skips heat. Nope, he goes back for heat. Never mind, he's going to take the longest route before finding quick boomerang. So... nope, no bubble. And there it is, quick boomerang. And just a few pot shots. Gotta dodge a few bullets. Hopefully not hug Wily. And there you go. GG's to Blue Bomber with an official racetime.gg time of 33 minutes 33 seconds. 0.7. So GG's to our runners, but this is only the first race of a potential three. The advantage is scrolling on Charlie Boy's end, but we got another race to go. If you give me a quick moment, like I said, I'm pulling a lot of leg work, a lot of solo work. So I'm gonna take this brief moment to get our boys our next race seed and our next race channel, and I will be back with you in a little bit. Take this time to get a snack, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do before the next race starts, and I'll see you in a bit. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. This is your boy LV Cree, about to get ready for our second race of our best of three between Charlieboy and Blue Bomber 285. And this time, got myself some actual help with me this time to work along with commentary with me. Shout outs to not only the runner up of the last year's Mega Man 2 randomizer tournament, but the one who actually beat the living daylights out of me a few days ago in our Mega Man 2 rando race. Casual Tom, how you doing?
Wow, what an intro. I feel like I could leave on a high note. I mean, come on. One mistake, I would have lost either of those. I mean, they were so close. I rewatched them, and I would actually recommend that other people rewatch those from SpeedGaming 3. Saturday night, I believe it was. If you're looking for something to watch, that was an entertaining one. I mean, I know I might be a little biased, but it was a fun one. Check it out. But yeah, these guys got the seed ready, or are we about ready to get going in a second here? Or?
Yep, the floodgates have been officially been released, and our two runners are about to duke it out one more time to see who is about to be sent packing. Charlieboy winning the very first race of our best of three. Blue Bomber looking to bounce back, but it's not going to be easy. Charlieboy proving that he can definitely deal with what Blue Bomber tried to give him as far as race conditions. But for this one, now it's in Charlieboy's court.